Righty guys, so welcome back again. I've got the phones in this way because they're freaking at the door. Anyway, I've got the dash back in the car. So the dash back in the car, I've got all those bits and pieces sorted out in the back. The choke base knob bit, that little piece. Actually, the piece that was broken, I've got rid of that piece, that's the edge that was broken off it, and I've got that nut sort of wind on there. And I think what I might do a little bit later on is actually run that thread up there a little bit further and redo the end so it can be a bit like it was, but just a little bit shorter. I think that should be okay, as long as I don't go too far. Now this horn button switch, I've been sort of a bit worried about the cable that's in it. You've been a bit worried about the cable that's been in this thing, thinking maybe, you know, I might pay to replace it. And I thought, well, why don't you just fucking test it, you silly cunt? So, generally, if you put it on ohms, I'm not a real big person on this stuff, but I know a little bit, I guess, you know what I mean? But yeah, normally ohms will tell you whether you got a circuit or not. Alright, so if I touch on the end of this cable here, right, I'm touching this body, so the horn's not pressed, it's not working, but so it's still, well, yeah, it's trying to work all the time. I was working perfectly before, now that's playing up on me. Oh, okay. But anyway, so it is actually working, and it was working actually quite nicely before. The typical one, you get on freaking camera and the fucking thing starts playing up. Yeah, because I wondered if the cable was broken. It is working. Would be nice to replace this cable, but we have this is Bakelite or something very similar. And we just can't get it off without, I'd imagine it probably screws on, or is on probably on a bit like a lock with like a radiator cap or something like that, where you push it down and you screw it around to the tabs and it locks in, and then you've got to actually push it. Well, I think it's probably on the same sort of thing. It's probably just on tabs or something and it screws around, but because it's been on there so fucking long, I don't think it's going to come off very easy. And I haven't got enough grip with my hands, and I don't want to jam it in the vise and clamp it and then crack it and bust it, because it's in such a beautiful condition. Probably just about you probably guarantee these are all broken or in the frickin' planet. But yeah, I just don't know how to get it off. Because this doesn't screw off. I've tried, I thought maybe that might screw off and then this might come off after it, but no, because it's got it's got little bolts or nuts or some sort of screw system from the inside to hold this on, so it must come off. But yeah, I'm just a bit dubious. I might take it around the old man's and see if we can get a I don't know, maybe like a fabric oil filter wrench on there, like see if it'll grab that piece and just see if we can twist it and get it to turn. But it would just be nice to replace this cable. But if I can't get it off, well, it's, so much point frickin' smashing stuff. If it's working, I might put the rod back up the guts for it. And slip this back down through the rod and then put it up through the guts for it. And just make sure it's still working then. So I'll do that and I'll come back to you. So, got that's sorted. I do still have, it's still working with on that inner wire thing, with the so it's on that other shaft, and that works. It still works fine through there. It's a little bit intermittent, so obviously it's not 100% in there, which would be nice to get it apart, but we might work on that another day if we have major issues with it. Like, it's the only wire that goes down through there, so it's not major, as long as everything else works, you know what I mean, once we get this all situated. So yeah, I guess that's what we're up to now, is start sorting this stuff. But that looks absolutely wicked together. So yeah. Yeah, it'd be nice to get the wheels and shit back for this thing, isn't it? So I can get it back down on the ground. So it's a little high still to work on nicely or easily. It's not bad, but it's be nice if it was down a little bit. Nice if it was down a little bit. Steering already almost needs pulled in there. Let's go a little gap at the top. That should be right. Anyway, it's in there now. That works. I put a bit of copper anti-seize in those tubes, so hopefully they won't seize inside each other. You know what I mean? Should be alright. Let's put a nice little wee dollop at the bottom, and when I slid in it, should it spread itself out? You know what I mean? Well, it's not being a dollop, I sort of like spread across the bottom part of it, so it should spread itself its way up. On both. That's cool. Right. To now. Bottom somewhere. Start playing with this bottom part, I guess. So you can now see how far all that stuff sticks out there. So we've got quite a bit to go on there and work out and get it all sorted. Right, we've got a bit each on that, so that's cool. It's pretty much where we're at. It's about the only thing I've really done in the last few minutes. So I'm just getting this sorted, this pulled apart. I'll give this a clean up and polish up and see how that looks. This is something that I rebuilt freaking really early on. He had got one of these recasted bodies because they all break, and yeah, I rebuilt this piece. Had a couple of 3 different units, managed to get to the point where I could find some decent ones to put together, and remade all this. So this is how all that switch works on there. Runs off those couple bevel gears off here, and then yeah. So I've got to put one on there and then one on there once I get the other little bracket and that on. And there's a little where's that arm? I think I showed you this last night anyway. So that goes on the there. There's another one that like that. That goes on there. And this also goes on here, which works the throttle. So, yeah. And then also the foot pedal throttle links up with it eventually. So, yeah, I'll carry on and we'll get this stuff a bit more cleaned up. Just watching some forward driving over in Western Australia at the moment. Wow, isn't that great? Pull something apart, and I've already been here once before. And I thought, I'll put a bit of copper frickin' anti-seize up in the shaft and all that sort of stuff. And I undid the nut. I was like, I know I've got to be careful pulling this apart so I can remember exactly the position of all these bits, and once I got the nut off it and went to try and grab it, it just all frickin' fell to parts on me. So here I am now, trying to search through my old footage of when I put it back together to try and remember how and what all of this stuff goes in, because if you don't get it in the right frickin' order, I know it was a bitch. It was a bitch of a thing. I just frickin', I can't remember exactly. I think, use my little tripod. Pain in the ass, because I was just trying to find the videos on it before. So I thought, I better pull it right apart and just make sure it's lubed up properly and all that stuff, because I couldn't remember. And put a bit of, bit of anti-seize in there before we do, get this all together, and then have it 100% ready to go on. But I think that was down in there, because it was the last thing sitting in there. And I think that sits in there, on that. But I'm not 100% sure. And this has got 2 little tits on it. So it sits on there. Something like that. I know I've been here before too, it's a fucking pain in the ass. Oh no, I can't, that's just got to go in there. Because that controls how far it moves. Which, that might have been down first. It's the biggest problem with something falls apart and just falls down there and it sort of half scatters. You just can't quite remember which fucking way around it went. Alrighty, so what's the time? It's about 20 past 3. I don't know if you can see it on that, not, but anyway. So, I fumbled around with that, got that sorted, got worked out which way those bits are meant to be. When I was home at lunchtime, I watched, I think it was 17 and 18, and managed to work out how that went back together, just to get the little bits in the right order so everything works properly. I could have worked it out, it was fairly simple, but I know that when I was putting it together the first time, after I had done a lot of rebuilding with the electrical bits on the inside of it, I know that once I got it around the right way, it was fine. So this is just temporary sitting here at the moment, because I haven't got the gear on the bottom. And the same with down here, I've got that other inner shaft back out. But what I'm going to do, these here had these like flathead screw bolts things in here, which is just an absolute pain in the ass. This one here is not so bad, because it's got a nut in the back side and this one on that side, and you can put the screwdriver down in there and you can nip the nut up. But the one down the bottom, you've got to try and freaking get in here. How the hell are you meant to get in there with a screwdriver? So obviously you're meant to put it on there beforehand, let's have it fully assembled and then slip it in there, which I didn't do. So what I'm going to do, because I can get the bolt in and out alright, so I'm going to get, because I haven't got anything that's right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a nut and bolt for here and a bolt for there, and swap them over so I can get in there with a spanner or something and nip them up properly. And then once that's back together, I can push that shaft down onto that throttle lever properly. Now what I did was the one in Queenstown. I took some photos underneath the hood, bonnet, whatever you want to call it, and inside the cab and everything like that. So I noticed that this throttle lever was up this direction. So I'm guessing when that's up, it's throttle right off. I'm guessing, because the vehicle wasn't running. I don't think, can't remember. I know we had it running at one point, and the throttle lever in here was pointing down. So I'm guessing when you pull that up, and that stops, that's full acceleration, sorry, that's full acceleration, and all the way back down again is throttle right off. So I looked at those pictures to get the position of what it was on the steering wheel and what it was down there, so I could replicate it and put it together. Like, it wouldn't have mattered where I put it, but I just didn't want to have it so this lever was way over here, and it was a complete pain in the arse, if you know what I mean. So I had a look to make sure it was within the right direction, and that's all good. So yeah, that just needs to be knocked down into that lever a little bit more when I get those bolts swapped over, so I can get it nice and tight so I don't break anything, because there's only those 2 bolts and there's spaces in there, so I don't want to wail on this with a block of wood and a hammer and give it a decent knock before I sort out down there. And I will probably get somebody to give me a hand. Like, I'll probably watch that end and just get them to give it a couple of gentle taps with a block of wood and a hammer, just to shock it down in properly. And I've got in there where the little ball is, there's a little ball. I'll show you one of these other broken ones. In here, there's a little spring-loaded ball, and then I've got whole heaps of spare bits and shit when I was from rebuilding. I didn't throw much away. So this here, oh guys, give me 2 seconds. Right. So this thing here, little ball in there, which is obviously the indicator. So I made sure I put a bit of that copper, anti-seize copper on it. Just, I don't know, I could have put anything in there, but I just put a little bit of copper there, that little bit of copper, that anti-seize in the back of that when I put it together, just so it was nice and lubricated, and that should hopefully stop the ball from seizing and, seizing in the socket, I'm hoping. So that's that. Actually, I just noticed there's a couple of bloody holes in that. Is there any holes in the bottom of that? I'll have to have a look. That's probably drain holes. Anyway, so that's not a biggie. I can pop a couple of holes in that. So I lubricated that, and there's a little cup, almost like a frost plug or Welsh plug. There's a little cup on each side of that little thing with a wee spring in the middle of it. I put some of that copper grease in there, so you can obviously put it on that surface and that surface, so it's hopefully shouldn't seize up. So yeah, that's mainly what I've been doing today, is just stuffing around with that and trying to get it sorted. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I've been doing all day, is fluffing around with that. I've had that shaft and that bits and pieces in there a couple of times, trying to sort that out and make sure it fitted down there properly and everything. And I've got the 2 little gears, the 2 little bevel gears. I found both of them, because I knew I had the one for that piece there, but I'd completely forgotten about the other one, so I hunted that out, because they're the same but different. The one that goes on the little shaft, it's got a lot smaller hole in it with the little splines on it, whereas the other one, it's bigger and it doesn't really have any splines on it. It probably meant to, but it doesn't. On the end of this. See, the other one just clamps on here, whereas the other one has got the splines for that little fine shaft that goes down through the centre, and it's smaller than that. This kind of does have, but I'm hoping it'll hold, because this is quite tight, but I haven't got it done up that tight, but because of those little indentation, hopefully it will work properly. So yeah, there is no little, well, there's one little hole in there, up in, oh no, that's on the board. So you might have to just bang a couple of little drain holes in that so it doesn't hit the flat full of water at some point too. Just in case. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at the moment. Actually, I'll go check those little freaking gear things I've got them soaking in a bit of shit over here. Out of that wash, I actually need to put some more fluid back in this wash because it's dehydrated itself. So I've got these in here soaking. Clean it. That one had that one pretty clean. I just cleaned up a little bit before. The other ones was, that's actually a piece for the speedo. So you're just trying to get all the thick shit off here. Get this. So you can see the whole difference. So that one goes on the steering column itself, and that one goes on the switch. So yeah, I need to try and get this shit cleaned up. I was trying to see before whether I had some bolts to freaking replace those stupid screw head things, but I don't think I do because most of that's brake bits and pieces, I think. So yeah, I might just leave that soaking in there, but might let that shit soften up. This one is not too bad because I've already cleaned the worst of it off. Ooh. This is a bit for the speedo, I think. I'm not 100% sure. So I cleaned that up too because I just wasn't sure exactly what it was. I know it's screws, I think it screws on the back of the speedo, but I couldn't tell you. It's not here now. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at the moment. Just mucking around with all those freaking stupid little things that take forever. You pull something apart and you can put it back together again. And I thought, oh, well, got to get all that cleaned up so it can be, so it's permanently together properly. I was going to polish that little housing up, but it's quite a rough cast. I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours, so I just gave it a gentle sand up and be done with it. Just cleaned it up a little bit. I painted the cover, obviously, and yeah, just reassembled it and make sure it was all lubed. I put copper down the shaft, and any copper seals down the shaft of it too. All that sorts of things. So it's assembled properly now, and I found all the little contact, like little screws. This was the only other board that I had was any good, but it's got quite good burns in the contacts, so it's been hot at some point. But anyway, so yeah, I went round and found all the enough little screws, and I was sitting here trying to work out what each contact was for. You probably can't really read on there, but I've written some little letters on there for like stop light and tail light and park lights and what sort of stuff. And I think they call park lights on this. What was it? Headlight, tail lights, side lights, which I presume is park lights, headlights, tail lights. Oh yeah, horn and stop lights. So yeah, the only thing that's not on here that's lights is the horns. So yeah, there's probably the little side lights are probably maybe those ones that sit up on top of the cowl, I imagine. So yeah, so I was just trying to work that out. So I'm just trying to get that little contact thing that sits above that, the little frickin' copper finger thing. Trying to work out that I had that run the right way from the wiring diagram. I think I've got it run the right way, otherwise I'll have to just lift the lid off and undo a couple of things and turn it around 180 degrees. Yeah. Once I get that worked out. So yeah, what else have I been doing? Oh, I got the dash back in this today. Got that screwed back into where it should be. You've got to tighten the back of the steering column. Those little bolts up on that brace. Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's funny how you can lose just that whole frickin' day just mucking around with that shit. I'm just trying to see whether I could get that button off. For the life of me, I can't get that button off that horn thing. So I think we'll run with it, and if it becomes a problem, I think then we'll tackle it. I'll just have to join the wire that goes up to the horn. I haven't really got any choice. It all stays reasonably still anyway, so I'll just have to join it and put a length of wire on the end of it where it goes up to the little fuse box thing. It pokes out the end by about that much, so it only needs another, frickin' 10 inches on it type thing. I'm guessing. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. Lots of little fluffing around. Hopefully. I need to fucking get back on the clutch bearing. Yeah, need to get back on that clutch bearing so I can get that sorted out. I might go ask, I might do that before I finish up and just, I'll just say if they haven't found one, get the one back that you had. We can measure it up, see if it's going to work, and we'll just make a fucking adapter. Yeah, I might do that. I might call it quits here now and then go see those boys and sort that out. What else do I need to sort out? I'll take those, I'll work out those little bolts, we'll get them at the same time. So I can get that together properly. What else? That's about all I can think about at the moment, so there's bound to be something else that come to me. But yeah, that'll do. We'll catch you later on. Cheers. Alright, morning guys. So hopefully the heater's not too noisy, but it's fucking cold. So I've got the bolts replaced at the bottom of that thing to hold that little bracket on that holds the lever in there, and the little cups and springs. I'll hold that all together so I can put the light switch and the horn fuse box all together in there. So that can be put together when it's ready to be put together. I'll check the little gears shortly and I'll get them on, I'll get everything lined up, but I won't put that in permanently until we get the motor in, because it's such a fragile piece. If you happen to bump it with the motor, it's just going to smash it, and then we're back to square one, getting another casting made. The clutch. So when I went and got the other bolts at the engineering shop, which is the same place we've been trying to sort out bearings. So I took the housing in with me that holds the clutch bearing, took that with me, and that washer that fits perfectly. I'm not sure if I covered that or not, but I found a washer, one that's a little bit bigger than that. It's about 67 mils across, or whatever that is in inches. It's have to be about 2 and 11/16 in diameter, which is bloody near perfect to cover the fingers. I'll show you. I'll turn the camera on. So when I sat it, this is not the right one, but when I set the slightly bigger washer on here, it covered these fingers just out to just past the edge of these little, whatever you want to call them, contact packs basically. It sat just past them, and I was like, well, that's perfect. That gives them an idea of how big it needs to be for outside diameter, the minimum like of the contact face, and then obviously the inside of the housing was the gap that it needs to be to put the shaft and everything through there. So when I was talking to the guy that owns the engineering shop, because it was about 10 past 4, whatever it was, I shot there to try and sort that out and get some bolts and bits and pieces. He messaged or rung the place in town which has been really trying to source out, which is obviously they're a bigger bearing, one of the bigger bearing companies in town. And the guy said, well, what's his name that you normally talk to is on your way through out past where I live, Winton. So I said, here's his phone number, give him a ring. So we gave him a ring, he answered the phone, and he called in. We gave him all the bits and pieces. I talked to him, I got his fucking phone number. So I said, as long as it fits in that housing, works with the contact patch, got a big enough centre ID to, yeah, as long as it's got a big enough inside diameter to go over that clutch housing and bits and pieces. We've got the original bearing there. He got the original bearing, so I said, look, as long as we can get it so we can fit it in that housing and build an adapter or something fitting that clutch, because apparently he was saying to me that he had actually been in contact with Studebaker and they'd given him a couple of parts numbers, but I think it's for the other one that I've got here, which is a different variation. It's like a later model thing where it was on that cast box, and I think the clutch must be different because the contact is further out and it's actually a bigger diameter bearing, and it doesn't sit in a housing, it sits over top, if you know what I mean. It's got, yeah, you know what I mean. It's a wee bit more like a lot of the modern bearings would actually sit like on a sleeve on a housing that was actually bigger. I think it's, yeah, it's a little bit like that. It's probably has got more fingers on the clutch. So yeah, and that was the part number that he could get. So he said, yeah, it was bigger than the one that they had there because they got some measurements off it. He said, that's no good. So yes. So we gave him all those bits, and he's going to hunt out Monday. Today's Saturday. So he's going to hunt out on Monday and see if he can find a bearing that will fit in there, works with that contact patch, isn't too small in the inside diameter to fit over the snout of the box and the shaft. And yeah, we'll just build an adapter as long as it's not too thick. We'll just build an adapter to fit it in that housing, and we'll be done with it. Because otherwise, we're going to be here for another fucking few months with some motor and box up this bloody thing, and I just want to get the thing back together. Desperately want to get it back together. Well, when we get that done, we can actually put the majority of the car back together. We can put the front fenders on it, we can put the rear fenders on it. Like I can put the rear fenders on now, but I kind of left them off so I can muck them out with the wheels and the brakes. You know, I've got some space to work around in here, and then I can throw that stuff on. At the end, type sort of thing, but also leave me a little more room to play with the fuel tank when I get that back. So yeah, there's a few little hold-ups. If we get that fuel tank back, the clutch bearing back, the wheels back, the only other stuff we're really waiting on then is just the bright work, you know, all the nickel stuff. So yeah, that's probably the main hold-up, and then upholstery really. But if we can get the motor and box to run, or get the engine running even without, well, we've got the radiator here, well, we can jerry rig that up a little bit, you know, get it running, get it all that stuff, and then we can get it sorted afterwards. Now we can put all the bright work on and be done with it. So yeah, so there's not a lot left to do. Now once you get the gauge, get that gauge back, like the fuel gauge isn't critical. Now that can be sorted later on, but now once we get the speedo back and a few of those other bits and pieces, yeah, like they'll come together pretty quick. I've still got a few bits and pieces to sort. I've still got the diff to sort, but I don't think it should be too much of an issue, hopefully. Hopefully I don't have any major issues with that stuff. But yeah, apart from that, like, it's not a lot to put together on. It's just a matter of getting these last pieces fine-tuned. And any other little bits we find that are missing, get them made or get them sorted out, you know, all the little details for anything underneath or anything to do with the engine that we haven't discovered or come across yet. So I mocked a bit of that stuff up, but I never mocked everything up because I didn't have everything. Anyway, I'll carry on and work out what I'm going to play with next. Yeah, I think I'll get the gears for those bits, mop that up, at least get the gear on the end of that shaft, on the headlight switch shaft. I'm going to keep researching. I'll throw a post up on Facebook and a couple of the studebaker pages to see if anybody knows how to get that fucking button off, whether it twists off. You know, especially somebody that's had it off and can remember and go, oh, you know, that's just a clip thing, or it's the big thread or whatever, you know. If I can work out how to get that off, at least I can repair that, replace that cable. And I can probably do that on the car if I really need to, you know what I mean? And at some point I'd like to get that bloody screw free to just stop it from falling off that shaft, because it slips on there and it's tightish, but it's not that tight, you know what I mean? That needs cleaned up sort of, so I can nip it up a bit tighter so it won't slip off that little spline. It should be okay, but it may come off because I can't do it up and try and loosen it, you know? It's still half frozen on there. So at some point I'd like to get that sorted, but I'd like to get the button off and undo the nuts on the other side, or the screws on the other side of it, and then I can play with it on the bench as just that little piece, that clamp, you know. And then I can really heat it up and free it up and get it sorted. But anyway, it's funny, like all these little things take so much fucking time you don't realise. There's lots of little things to do with one big thing, eh? People just don't realise what it takes to rebuild this shit. Anyway, we'll carry on. Well, here's another perfect little example of something I just found that I didn't realise I needed. That was on the wiring here, which is some old wiring for that headlight switch. So I'll have to clean that up, free that up. Like, it's not a big job, but I've got to make sure I can get that nut undone, clean it up, give it a wee sandblast and give it a spritz of paint. Because, you know, that was the wiring that went through it. So yeah. And obviously a lot of that wiring in this thing has got this heavy, almost like twisted metal coating on it. I'll stop it from obviously rubbing through and breaking. It's heavy duty shit. Interesting. Anyway, I'll clean that up while I'm doing these other bits. Righty guys, so I've got this stuff in here and having a play. It's very, very vague feeling. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna probably have to put a little lube and stuff on this, but man, that is such a vague feeling thing. I may have to just maybe loosen off the little nut in here or something like that, just to make it turn a little bit easier in there. I don't know, but it's so, because there's quite a bit of flex in that, obviously that shaft that goes down through the steering column, because that's off, but like it's really, you can feel the notches in it, but not really, if you know what I mean. You can, I think, once it sort of frees up a little bit. I think that should be right off there now, is it? Yeah. So yeah. But man, is it vague feeling. So I might just get in there and see if I can adjust that or something like that, so it's just not quite so stiff, possibly. It just feels real vague up there because it takes a bit to turn it. I think if it would slip around a little bit easier, it would feel a bit nicer. But that's how that's meant to be. So you've got that stuff cleaned up. I've still got to, obviously, where that little bit was, that little collar that I was screwing around with earlier. I had it before. I'll do with that. little collar I found. Oh, there. I cleaned that up. I sandblasted it. So I still got to undo the screw and stuff, but that fits. Pokes out in through here. So it's obviously just clamped. Sorry, pokes in through there. So it obviously just holds the wiring together. So yeah, bit of a funny thing, or is it fitting that way in there? I don't know. I'll have to look. I've got photos in somewhere, and I think I can see it in a couple of photos. So, but yeah, that pokes through there. So that I'll get that cleaned up and coat of paint on it. Yeah. So now we're getting there. But yeah, that's pretty easy to take off. It's only a matter of undoing the bolt on the little gear and the bolt on the clamp and get that out of the road. And we'll put the motor in. But I'll just leave it there in the meantime. Yeah, you can see how far that cable pokes through. So that there really should go up to the I'm guessing to there, and then would possibly go over to the horn, I'm guessing, which I think sits down in here from photos, I think. So yeah. So that cable could be longer, and that's why I'd like to get that apart, but I haven't worked it out yet. Somebody left a comment on Facebook they think, that was British probably, I think that you need to push this down and turn it and it will undo, but I've had a play with that and it doesn't seem to want to do anything yet, so I don't know. My initial thought, maybe if I can get a one of those fabric oil filter wrenches or something on there and pull it tight and see if I can get that to turn. I'm guessing that's on a thread. I bet you, well, I don't know, but I'm guessing that it's probably a step up from the inside of this aluminium and that screws on. It's the only thing I can think of, maybe. Or something like that, if you know what I mean. It's got to be out on there or something. Because you can't undo it from the back, so it's got to come off from the front. It'd be nice better to replace that cable and just make sure all that shit in there's going to be fine, if you know what I mean. And I might have to make up a little like a bush for in here. I wouldn't have thought that should have, you know, floated around like that quite so much. So the bush in the top of the probably meant to be a little bush up on the top of that steering shaft, possibly. So yeah, I might have to make something up there, make a little. Like I've got that other steering shaft, and I think I've got another one of those outer shafts, so I can probably make something up to suit that, and then just slip this out and slip it in. You know what I mean? It's a pain in the ass to have to take that apart, but if it needs done, mind you, I think I can get that off from the top. I think if I was gentle, I can pop that piece off from the top. I have had it off, so I might better just slip that one out and then pop that off the shaft, if you know what I mean, maybe. And then just slip that little collar in there and that. Stop that from jiggling around quite so much. But that's all the little things you find when you're putting this shit back together. Alrighty guys, so apparently if you soak this in paint thinners for about 4 days, the glass falls out. But it's still blocked. Yeah, I went and lifted out of this before and the glass was sitting in there. So yeah, I tried to see if I can get it to, it's clear down to in the base of this little piece in there. It's clear down into there. So it's got to be that tube has got to be, it's full of shit. So yeah, I don't think we're ever going to get that out of there. So I think what I'm going to do at some point, not right now, but at some point, I think I'll get this out of there and see if we can at least repair the body up a little bit. with some of that JB weld sort of type stuff. Fill up where it's broken away. I try and do a few little minor repairs on it, like some of the body stuff. And at least then if we do get a new tube and glass and whatever, we can put that together properly. So yeah, I don't know. If I can get it clear, I don't know what I'm going to use to seal the tube back in there. I don't really know what you could use, to be honest. It's not something I've had to do. I don't know whether you could use like a little bit of urethane or something like that down in there, you know, put a wee glob of urethane and put, yeah, I don't know, because you're eating it with shit down in there, aren't you? But I don't know whether you could put something down there, but something through the tube, like a little bit of rod or something like that into the tube, so you at least, you know, it's not going to fill it up, and put a little bit of urethane down there and push it into it and seal it. Maybe the same at the top. I don't really bloody know, to be honest. We'll work it out. When we get the instructions, obviously it'll tell us a bit more, but yeah. So that's that. I'll throw that back in there and see if that shit will actually clear it. Who frickin' knows? Should we get some thinners swapped down in that oil? Reducer. So yeah. Anyway, so I'll carry on back over here. So what I'm up to over here, so obviously finish with this other stuff in the meantime. I've got that little round bracket and whatever. I've got a little bit of etch on that so I can paint that later. But in here, I just want to clean the paint out, and I don't have a tap, so I've got a little screw nut thing that'll wound the nut up hard up underneath, and I just nick this with the cutting disc and the grinder. Come on. So I nicked this with a cutting disc and a grinder and made sure I cut it the way that the thread runs, so when you're winding in there, it works a bit like a tap. So it works a bit like a tap, and you can clean the threads out with the paint and shit. So yeah, I'm just doing that in the meantime. Get these done, so then I can sit. I've still got to find nuts for the ends of these little brackets. Still got to find nuts to go on the ends of these. I want to polish these up some more, but at least I can get these on there and make sure I got them all. So they're meant to be all these little brass screws go on there, so that's the same thread. I think I've got enough of them now. I think I've found enough to do that job. I'll have to go through. I need 6 obviously, so that's why I just want to clean those threads out, because I did have a broken one in there, but I managed to drill the bulk of it out, and because it's brass, that's why I cut that thing there, because I can't find it. I don't think Dad's got a tap that fits in here. It's one of those odd threads that just not common in any of his sets. So yeah, because it's smaller. Well, no, this is bigger than I think. I was mucking around with this stuff. I don't think, because this is bigger than that, I think. Oh, alright. Two-handed life. Hold on. Right, yeah, I think this is different thread to that. Yeah, so this is a different thread to that. Oh, we had enough problems finding this one back when we were rebuilding that other new casting. So anyway, so I can wind these in and out of here, and hopefully this will clear the brass that was left in, was either that hole or that hole. I think it might be this one. So hopefully that'll clear the brass that's left, or bronze that's left in that hole. I'm hoping. So we'll work on that. and get this ready so I can at least test fit it in there, make sure everything's right, and then I will at some point I need to find some card or something that's skinny enough that you can get some glass cut, and then I guess we will probably urethane it in, I'm guessing, or something like that. I don't know. I guess that would be probably well, you can probably buy a rubber that will go around it. We'll see. We'll check. There's a place up north that has a lot of this rubber stuff that we've actually got to get all the crap for here from yet. I haven't ordered any of that yet. We keep forgetting about it. So we might get to ask them whether they've got like a windscreen frame rubber, like just a universal one that we can pop in there around the glass. Either that or we'll urethane it in or something like that. So once it's together, like, you're not really going to have to pull it apart, I guess, but urethane would be a pain in the ass if you ever do break it. But yeah, so I'll carry on. I'll get these cleaned out, make sure I've got enough screws, and then we'll get that in there, make sure that everything fits right, and then we will work on, well, I won't work on any of this stuff yet because I need to sort it out, but there's the bits that go, there's a few bits and pieces on here that I haven't sorted yet because I haven't really had them. But at least it'll give me an opportunity to play around for a little bit of stuff. I can just tape it up, tape up the surfaces and whatever, and we can start fiddling with some of that stuff. I've got one piece, I think, but it's not 100% complete, but it'll give me an idea of what it's meant to be, if you know what I mean. I think this is the right thing. It may not be, but it gives me an idea for the sliding and out for the windows. Yeah, no, I don't know if it is. I think that might be off a different model because it's not likely to fit on like that. Yeah, that might be off a different variation, but it's that sort of thing. But anyway, I will get this stuff cleaned out and we'll get this sitting in their frame. And there is a mirror that goes on here, but it's pretty hammered. I haven't done anything with that yet. It's sitting, where is that sitting? Here somewhere. Where do I have it? Again, it'd be nice to just, I'd dearly love that blue shelves over there, freaking completely empty, so I could sit parts on. I could have it all down there and sit all the parts on or something. I just don't have that joy yet. And hopefully I won't really need it if I end up over in the States. Next time, within the next, okay, like I'm probably going to go there shortly, but like sometime within the next 12 months sort of type thing. About this time next year or a little bit earlier. Maybe over there permanently. Go over there at the end of their sort of, well, probably the end of their winter, start of their spring. Go over there and live there permanently, hopefully. Yeah, I'll carry on here anyway. I'll get this stuff sorted out instead of waffling. Righty, so my poor man tap worked for these four. But I need to see if I can find the proper thing to clear that one, and that one I can't. I was hoping this would wind in with that little frickin' cut out in it, but it just won't. It won't start. So, and I can't remember which one of these I had to drill out with the brass screw that snapped off in it. So if I can go find a tap, I'm going to go double check at Dad's, make sure they haven't got one, because I've got the nut that I can check the thread, and obviously whatever. So if I can find that, I'll tap these out. Otherwise, I might just go into town and buy one, because I want to go and do into town. Going to do a couple of little jobs anyway for myself, so I might just buy a tap while I'm there. Surely a little tap like that won't be terribly expensive for that right thread if I can find the right one. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at there, and I might as well take these with me and see if I can find a nut, a dome nut to go on the end of that. And I should need the other one of those, and we'll want the same thing for on here. If I can get it. So yeah, there's a few little bits and pieces I need, so I'll take that with me. I'll double check before I leave to make sure I've got enough of these. But this is the screws we do have coming from somewhere, because we need more of them for that dash trim. Of the same thread. Fortunately, I found all the ones we actually need for the main dash. We only need the 4 brass ones for there, but yeah, we need, I don't know, what do we need? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we need 7 to go across the back. So yeah, and there's bound to be others that we need. For other bits and pieces. But we've got the screws for these to go on the top of those. I've still got to make these door frame pieces when I get a chance to get this up. So yeah, there's lots of little pieces, and I'm going to have to try and suss out a rear window, put in the canvas top, that will fit, that will sit in this gap. So yeah, we'll have to find a frame for that at some point too. I guess it'll be one of those, it'll be something that'll just happen to sit in here and rest in here, so it doesn't want to be too big. So yeah, we'll have to suss up that too before we make the canvas top. But it's probably one of those things too, like the canvas top could be made and then that could be fitted in afterwards if we don't happen to have it. Not ideal, but yeah. So lots of little things to suss out, but yeah, it'd be nice to just get this frickin' thing back on its wheels and running and driving, even if it isn't 100% complete, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it won't be long before I can hopefully get this other frickin' car in here. I really want it in there before I go to the States, so at least I can try and at least blow it. If I can get this stuff on, I can blow it apart and work out, you know, what I need to work on it when I get back. But yeah, it shouldn't be a task like this anyway. At least it's a steel car. It's not wooden frame, not wooden body, it's steel body. But anyway, I might bugger off and go suss out some of the stuff, because I was at one job I want to do before midday in town. Anyway, we'll catch you later on. Cheers. Wonder why it was cold here today. There's a little bit of white shit on the freaking hills over there, which isn't very high. Oh, it's really fucking snowing now. Picked a fucking good time to go into town, didn't I? Jesus! Jesus, son! Jesus! Well, shit. And considering we're at sea level, I think we often get snow down here. But we do. Yeah, we're only a few feet or a few meters above sea level here. Hey, it's really trying to fucking snow. Could be an interesting trip home, maybe. We'll see. Lovely. Lovely jubbly. Good thing I'm going to town to get some fucking wood. Might be a bit cold. Anyway. See you later.
Welcome to Iron Outlaws. Stay tuned.
You're not going to want to miss this.